The old man sits alone at a folding table in a basement apartment where the ceiling leaks when it rains. His hands are folded over a wooden box. The box contains a banker's ink stamp from 1971 and a stenographer's notebook, the last one she filled professionally. Outside, 5 cars are parked at the curb. Inside, 5 children are waiting for him to die. They have been waiting for 2 years. The basement smells of mildew and regret. A single fluorescent bulb flickers overhead, casting shadows that make the old man look smaller than he already is. He is 76 years old. His name is Albert. His wife Grace sits beside him, her fingers pressed flat against the table as if she is still taking dictation from a judge. She is 73. Her knuckles are swollen with arthritis. She does not flinch. The oldest son, Michael, stands by the door. He wears a Patagonia vest over a dress shirt. He is 48 years old and sells medical devices to hospitals. He clears his throat. "Dad, we need to talk about the property." Albert does not look up. He opens the wooden box. Inside, the ink stamp rests on a bed of faded velvet. The stamp has not touched paper since 1998. He runs his thumb over the handle, feeling the worn grooves where his fingers once rested 20,000 times. "Put it in writing," Albert says. Michael looks at his siblings. They shift their weight from foot to foot. The youngest daughter, Sarah, crosses her arms. She is 39 and works in marketing. She wears a gold bracelet that catches the fluorescent light. "Dad, we've been over this," Michael says. "The developer needs the signature. The whole block is selling. You're sitting on $4 million. Albert lifts the stamp from the box. He holds it up so the light catches the brass face. The ink pad is dry. It has been dry for 26 years. "Put it in writing," he repeats. Grace reaches into her sweater pocket. She pulls out a fountain pen, a black Parker 51 from 1965, the same pen she used to transcribe 37 years of courtroom testimony. She places it on the table next to the stamp. The children stare at the pen. "Mom," Sarah says, "you don't understand. This is a once-in-a-lifetime offer." Grace looks at her daughter. Her eyes are pale blue, the color of winter sky. She says nothing. The silence stretches into something physical, like a weight pressing down on the basement air. The youngest son, David, checks his phone. He is 35 and manages a car dealership. His wife is pregnant with their second child. He looks at the floor. "Dad, we have bills," David says. "We have obligations. The money would change everything." Albert places the stamp back in the box. He closes the lid. The click of the latch echoes off the concrete walls. "Your mother and I bought this house in 1974, he says. "We paid $37,000. We raised 5 children in that house. We buried a dog in the backyard. We painted every room 3 times. We replaced the roof in 1992. I know every nail in that house. I know which floorboards creak. I know which window sticks in summer." He stops. His voice cracks, but he does not let it break. "Now you want me to sign it over so a developer can build condominiums?" "Dad, it's $4 million, Michael says. "You and Mom can live anywhere. You can travel. You can." "I don't want to travel," Albert says. "I want to die in my own bed." The words hang in the air like smoke. Grace picks up her pen. She turns it over in her fingers, watching the light play across the gold nib. She has not written anything in 2 years. Not since the last time she sat in a courtroom and watched a man lose everything he owned. "Put it in writing," she says softly. Michael throws up his hands. He turns to his siblings, looking for support. They look away. "We'll come back next week," he says. "Think about it, Dad, please." They leave. The basement door slams shut. The fluorescent bulb stops flickering. Albert and Grace sit in silence for a long time. The ink pad is dry. Albert says finally, "I know. I could buy a new one." Grace shakes her head. "No. When you stamp that paper, it has to be perfect. It has to be the last stamp." Albert looks at the box. He thinks about 1971. He was 23 years old. He had just been promoted to loan officer at the First National Bank of Boston. The stamp was a gift from his father, who had been a banker for 40 years. "A banker's stamp is his word," his father had said. "Once it hits paper, it never comes back." Albert had believed that. He still believed it. The second visit came on a Tuesday in October. It was cold. The first frost had killed the geraniums in the window box. Grace sat at the kitchen table of the basement apartment, their basement apartment, which was really just the lower level of the house they had sold in everything but name. The developer had already filed the permits. The neighbors had already moved out. The block was a ghost town. Albert sat across from her. He had not slept well. The arthritis in his hips kept him awake. He had been having dreams about the old house, about the way the morning light came through the kitchen window, about the sound of the kids running down the stairs on Christmas morning. The door opened without a knock. Michael walked in. He wore a suit. Not the Patagonia vest, an actual suit, navy blue with a red tie. He carried a leather folder. Behind him stood a woman Albert did not recognize. She was young, maybe 30, with sharp eyes and a tablet computer. "Dad, this is Mrs. Chen from the development company," Michael said. "She's here to explain the terms." Mrs. Chen smiled. It was a professional smile, the kind that had been practiced in front of a mirror. "Mr. Kowalski, thank you for meeting with me," she said. "I understand this is difficult, but I want to assure you that we're prepared to make this transition as smooth as possible." Grace watched her. She had spent 37 years reading people in courtrooms. She knew the difference between genuine warmth and professional courtesy. Mrs. Chen was all professional courtesy. $4.2 million, Mrs. Chen said. "That's the final offer. It's above market value. We've already secured the adjacent properties. Your signature would allow us to close within 60 days. Albert said nothing. "You'll have full occupancy for 6 months, Mrs. Chen continued. "We'll cover all moving expenses. We can even arrange for a relocation consultant to help you find a new property." Michael nodded along. "See, Dad? They're taking care of everything." Albert looked at his son. He remembered teaching Michael how to ride a bike. He remembered holding his hand on the first day of kindergarten. He remembered the way Michael had cried when the family dog died. "Put it in writing," Albert said. Michael's face tightened. "Dad, come on, we've been over this." "Then you should have it ready." Mrs. Chen opened her tablet. "I have the paperwork here, Mr. Kowalski. All the terms are spelled out clearly." "Not your paperwork," Albert said. "His." He pointed at Michael. "I want my son to write down why he wants me to sell the house. In his own handwriting. On paper." The room went still. Michael laughed, but it was a nervous laugh. "Dad, that's ridiculous. Why would I do that?" "Because I asked. This is a business transaction. It doesn't need to be personal." Albert picked up the wooden box. He held it in his hands, feeling the weight of it. "Everything is personal," he said. "You are my son. This is my house. If you want me to sign it away, I want to see your words on paper. I want to see your signature next to your reason." Michael looked at Mrs. Chen. She offered nothing, no advice, no sympathy, no escape. "Fine," Michael said. "I'll write you a letter." "But this is ridiculous." He left. The door slammed. Grace reached across the table and took Albert's hand. "He won't do it," she said. "I know. Then why ask?" Albert opened the box. He touched the stamp, then the notebook. "Because I need proof." The notebook. Grace had brought it with her when they moved to the basement. It was the last one she had used professionally, a steno pad with green cardboard covers filled with shorthand symbols that looked like a foreign language to anyone who didn't know how to read them. She had filled it in 1998, during the trial of a man who had defrauded his elderly parents out of their life savings. She had kept it because she could not throw it away. The notebook contained the last testimony she had ever transcribed. The elderly mother, 74 years old, sitting in the witness box, describing how her son had convinced her to sign over her house. He said it was for the best, the woman had testified. He said I would be taken care of. The son had gotten 5 years. The mother had ended up in a nursing home. The house had been sold to pay legal fees. Grace had come home that night and told Albert she was retiring. She had not touched a steno pad since, but she had kept that notebook. Now she took it out of the box. She opened it to the first page. The shorthand symbols stared back at her, silent witnesses to a tragedy she had recorded but could not prevent. "Every conversation," she said quietly. Albert looked up. "Every visit," she continued. "Every phone call." For 2 years. She flipped through the pages. The handwriting was small, precise, the product of decades of practice. Each symbol represented a word, a phrase, a legal concept. She had transcribed everything. Michael's first phone call: "Dad, I have exciting news. A developer is interested in the property." Sarah's visit: "Mom, you don't need such a big house anymore. It's too much work." David's text message: "We need to talk about the future." The lawyer's letter: "Your property has been identified as a key parcel in a planned development." The offer: $4 million, contingent on full family agreement. The threats: "If you don't sign, you're being selfish. You're ruining our futures." The promises: "We'll take care of you. You'll never have to worry about anything." Grace had recorded every word, every hesitation, every lie. "Why didn't you tell me?" Albert asked. "Because I needed to be sure." Sure of what? She closed the notebook. She placed her hand on the green cover, sure that they meant it, sure that they weren't just confused or pressured or misinformed. And they meant it. The words fell like stones. Albert stared at the notebook. He had seen his wife transcribe testimony for 37 years. He had seen her capture the exact words of murderers and victims, of judges and juries, of liars and truth-tellers. She had never been wrong. 2 years, he said. 2 years, 4 months, 11 days. What do we do? Grace looked at the stamp. Then she looked at her husband. We wait. The third visit came in November. November in New England is a gray month. The sky sits low and heavy, pressing down on everything. The trees are bare. The ground is hard. The cold seeps through walls and windows and settles into bones. Albert sat in his chair by the window. He watched the leaves blow across the empty street. The neighbors' houses were dark. Their windows were boarded. The developer had already demolished 4 houses on the block. The wrecking balls would come for his house next. He did not want to be there when they did. Grace brought him coffee. She had learned to make it in a microwave because the basement stove didn't work properly. The coffee was never hot enough, but Albert drank it anyway. They're coming today, Grace said. I know. They're bringing the lawyer, Albert nodded. He had expected this. Michael had called twice, then 3 times, then every day for a week. The calls had become more urgent, more frustrated. Dad, you're being unreasonable. The developer is losing patience. They're threatening to withdraw the offer. Then let them. Dad, do you understand what you're doing? You're costing us $4 million. Albert had hung up. He had gone to the window and watched the leaves blow across the empty street. He had thought about the house, the real house, the one upstairs, the one with the creaky floors and the sticking window in the backyard where the dog was buried. He had not cried. He was 76 years old. He had buried his parents, his best friend, and a dog named Max. He had learned that crying changes nothing. The door opened. Michael walked in, followed by Sarah, David, and 2 younger siblings. Rachel, 42, a real estate agent, and Paul, 37, a software engineer. Behind them came a man in a gray suit. He carried a briefcase. He had the look of a man who had done this before. Mr. Kowalski, the lawyer said, I'm Robert Vance. I represent the family's interests in this matter. Albert did not stand. He did not shake hands. He sat in his chair and looked at his children. All 5 of you, he said. I must be important. Dad, this isn't a joke, Michael said. Mr. Vance has prepared the final documents. We need your signature today. Albert looked at the lawyer. What's your fee? I beg your pardon? What do you charge? Per hour? Per document? The lawyer's smile flickered. That's confidential, Mr. Kowalski. $1,500, Grace said. Everyone turned to look at her. Maybe $2,000, she continued. That's what they charge for elder law cases. They bill in 6-minute increments. A meeting like this would cost about $800. The lawyer's face went still. I used to transcribe legal proceedings, Grace said. I know what lawyers cost. Michael stepped forward. Mom, this isn't helping. Put it in writing, Albert said. What? The price? I want to know how much my children are paying to take my house. Sarah spoke up. That's not fair, Dad. We're trying to help you. Help me? By forcing me out of my home? It's not forcing. It's... She stopped. She didn't have the words. It's what? Albert asked. Tell me. I want to hear you say it. It's necessary, Michael said. The neighborhood is changing. The house is too big. You can't maintain it. This is the responsible decision. Albert listened. He heard the words. He also heard what his son did not say. I want the money. I have debts. I have plans. I have a life that doesn't include you. Put it in writing, Albert said again. Michael's face reddened. I will not write you a letter. That's absurd. Then we're done. Dad, we're done. Albert stood up. His hips ached. His knees cracked. He walked to the door and opened it. Get out of my house. The lawyer packed his briefcase. The children filed out, one by one. Sarah paused at the door. I love you, Dad, she said. Albert did not answer. When they were gone, Grace took his hand. They stood together in the empty basement, listening to the silence. They won't come back, Grace said. They'll come back, Albert said. They need the money. How do you know? Because they've already spent it. December came. The basement grew colder. The furnace struggled. Albert wore 2 sweaters and a wool coat indoors. Grace wrapped herself in a blanket that had belonged to her mother. They had not heard from the children in 3 weeks. The silence was a relief. Christmas approached. Albert did not put up a tree. There was no room. There was no point. On December 23, a package arrived. It was small, wrapped in brown paper, addressed to Albert in handwriting he did not recognize. He opened it. Inside was a letter, not from Michael, from a woman named Eleanor Chen. The same Mrs. Chen who had come to the basement in October. The letter read, Dear Mr. Kowalski, I am writing to you personally because I believe you deserve the truth. The developer has offered your children a bonus payment for securing your signature. I was instructed not to disclose this. I am disclosing it anyway. Your children will receive an additional $200,000 if you sign before December 31. I am sorry. Eleanor Chen Albert read the letter 3 times. Then he handed it to Grace. She read it once. She set it down. $200,000, she said. Divided 5 ways, 40,000 each. Enough to cover a car payment, a credit card, a vacation, $40,000. Albert said, "That's what I'm worth." Grace picked up the letter. She folded it carefully and placed it in the wooden box next to the stamp and the notebook. Evidence, she said. The 4th visit came on December 28. It was cold. The temperature had dropped to 12 degrees. The basement windows were frosted over. Albert had spent the morning trying to seal the cracks with duct tape. It didn't work. The children arrived together as if they had coordinated their attack. Michael led the group. He looked tired. His suit was wrinkled. He had not shaved. "Dad, we need to talk." "Again? Please, just listen." Albert sat down. Grace sat beside him. The children stood in a semicircle like a firing squad. "We made a mistake," Michael said. Albert waited. "We should have been more patient. We should have listened to you. We got caught up in the money you already spent." Michael flinched. "What do you mean?" "I know about the bonus. I know about the 200,000. The room went cold, not from the temperature, from the silence." "How did you?" Sarah started. "It doesn't matter," Michael interrupted. "Dad, we're sorry." "Yes? Then put it in writing." Michael's hands clenched into fists. "Why do you keep asking for that? What does it matter?" Albert reached for the wooden box. He opened it. He took out the notebook. "Your mother has been keeping records," he said. "Every conversation, every visit, every phone call. For 2 years." He held up the notebook. 2 years of evidence. Michael stared at the notebook. His face went pale. "What are you talking about?" "Financial elder abuse," Grace said. "That's what the law calls it. Coercion. Undue influence. Exploitation." "We didn't," Sarah began. "You threatened to cut us off," Grace continued. "You said we were being selfish. You said we were ruining your futures. You called 47 times in October alone." 47 times? How do you know that?" "Because I wrote it down." Michael looked at his siblings. They looked at each other. The lawyer was not there to help them. "Dad, you wouldn't." "I haven't done anything," Albert said. "Yet." He closed the notebook. He placed it back in the box. "Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to keep this box. I'm going to keep the records, and I'm going to wait." "Wait for what?" "For you to tell me the truth." "I already told you the truth." "No," Albert said. "You told me what you wanted me to believe. There's a difference." Michael opened his mouth to speak, then closed it. He looked at his siblings. They looked at the floor. "We can't force you to sign," Michael said finally. "No. You can't. We can't stay here forever. I can stay as long as I want. It's my house." The word hung in the air. My house. Not theirs. Not the developers. His. Michael turned and walked out. The others followed. One by one, they disappeared up the stairs and into the cold December night. Albert sat in his chair. Grace sat beside him. "They'll be back," she said. "I know. Next time they'll bring the papers?" "I know. Are you ready?" Albert looked at the wooden box. He thought about the stamp, the notebook, the letter from Eleanor Chen. He thought about 47 phone calls in October. He thought about the $200,000. "I'm ready," he said. January came. The snow fell. The basement grew colder. Albert and Grace learned to live in a smaller world. The kitchen, the bedroom, the bathroom, the chair by the window. They rationed their food. They rationed their heat. They did not complain. On January 15, the phone rang. It was Michael. "Dad, I need to see you. Come tomorrow." "Alone." Albert looked at the phone. "Why?" "Because I need to tell you something." "Put it in writing." "Dad, please. This is important." Albert hung up. The next day, Michael came alone. He did not wear a suit. He wore jeans and a sweatshirt. He looked smaller than Albert remembered. "Can I sit down?" Albert gestured to the chair across from him. Michael sat. He did not speak for a long time. "I lost my job," he said finally. Albert said nothing. "I got fired in November. I didn't tell you because I was ashamed. I was going to use the money from the house to..." He stopped. He rubbed his face with his hands. "To what?" "To pay off debts. To start over." Albert waited. "I was going to lie to you. I was going to tell you I needed the money for the kids' college fund, or for a medical emergency, or..." He stopped again. "I don't know. I had a whole story ready. But you didn't tell it." "Why not?" Michael looked at his father. His eyes were red. "Because I looked in the mirror this morning and I didn't recognize myself." The silence stretched. "I don't expect you to forgive me," Michael said. "I don't expect you to sign anything. I just wanted you to know the truth." He stood up. He walked to the door. "Michael," Albert said. His son turned. Have you told your siblings? No. Why not? Because they're still lying. Sarah took a second mortgage. David invested in a business that failed. Rachel has a gambling problem. Paul, he shook his head. We're all drowning. We just wanted you to throw us a life raft. A life raft made of your mother's in my home. Michael's face crumpled. I know. He left. Albert sat in the silence. Grace came out of the bedroom. She had been listening. 1 out of 5, she said. 1. It's a start. Albert reached for the wooden box. He did not open it, he just held it. Maybe, he said. February. The coal did not let up. The furnace broke. Albert spent 2 days trying to fix it before he called a repairman. The bill was $400. He paid it out of his savings. The children did not call. March. The snow melted. The basement flooded. Albert spent bailing water with a bucket. His back ashed. His hands ached. He did not call his children for help. April. The developer sent a letter. The offer was reduced to $3.8 million. The deadline was May 1. Albert threw the letter in the trash. May. The children came back. All 5 of them. They came on a Saturday afternoon when the sun was warm and the lilacs were blooming. They came in 2 cars. They came with a notary public. Dad, Michael said, we have the papers. Albert looked at the papers. They were thick. They were covered in legal language. They were designed to confuse him. Put it in writing, he said. Dad, we did. It's all in the contract. No, I want you to write it. In your own words. Why you want me to sign? Michael looked at his siblings. Sarah nodded. David nodded. Rachel and Paul nodded. Fine, Michael said. He took out a pen. He found a piece of paper. He wrote, Dad, I want you to sign the papers because I need the money. I have made mistakes. I have debts. I am scared. He signed it. He handed it to Albert. Albert read it. He handed it to Grace. She read it. She placed it in the wooden box. 1 down, she said. 4 to go. Sarah stepped forward. She took the pen. Dad, I want you to sign because I am ashamed of who I have become. I prioritized money over family. I am sorry. She signed it. David wrote, Dad, I want you to sign because I thought money would fix everything. I was wrong. Rachel read, I want you to sign because I was greedy. I convinced myself it was for the best. It wasn't. Paul wrote, Dad, I want you to sign because I didn't want to be the only one who said no. They all signed. Albert collected the papers. He read each one. He placed them in the wooden box next to the notebook and the stamp and the letter from Eleanor Chen. Thank you, he said. Will you sign the contract now? Michael Au. No. Dad, I said no. Michael's face darkened. You said you wanted it in writing. We did it. What more do you want? I wanted the truth, Albert said. And now I have it. He closed the box. He held it against his chest. Your mother and I are going to stay in this house until we die. And when we die, the house will be sold. The money will be divided equally among you. But not until then. Dad, you can't. I can. It's my house. My name is on the deed. Your mother's name is on the deed. We have a lawyer. We have a will. We have evidence of financial elder abuse. He looked at each of his children in turn. You can try to force us out. You can take us to court. But I have 2 years of records. I have your signed confessions. And I have a judge who will not look kindly on 5 children who tried to steal their parents' home. The children stood in silence. Now get out, Albert said. They left. The basement was quiet. Albert sat in his chair. Grace sat beside him. The wooden box rested on the table between them. 2 years, Albert said. 2 years, 4 months, 11 days, Grace corrected. Feels longer. It always does. Albert opened the box. He looked at the stamp, the notebook, the letters, the confessions. He thought about his children, the babies he had held, the children he had raised, the adults they had become. They're not bad people, he said. No, Grace agreed. They're just lost. Will they find their way back? Grace took his hand. Her fingers were cold. Her knuckles were swollen. I don't know, she said. But we have the truth now. That's something. Albert nodded. He picked up the stamp. He held it in his hands, feeling the weight of it. He thought about 1971. He thought about his father. He thought about the thousands of times he had stamped his name on loan documents, on mortgage papers, on the contracts that built other people's dreams. One more stamp, he said. One more. Grace agreed. When? When you're ready. Albert placed the stamp back in the box. He closed the lid. Not yet, he said. Soon, but not yet. The summer came. The basement grew hot. The air conditioner did not work. Albert and Grace spent the days in the shade of the backyard, watching the weeds grow where the garden used to be. The house next door was demolished. The sound of the wrecking ball shook the ground. Albert felt it in his chest. He did not go inside to watch. On July 4, a knock came at the door. It was Michael. He stood in the sunlight, holding a grocery bag. He looked older. His hair was grayer. There were lines around his eyes that had not been there before. "Happy 4th of July," he said. Albert looked at the bag. "What's that?" "Food. I know you and Mom haven't been eating well." "How do you know?" "Mrs. Chen told me." Albert took the bag. He looked inside. There was bread, milk, eggs, cheese, a roasted chicken. "Thank you," he said. Michael nodded. He turned to leave. "Michael," his son stopped. "Are you okay?" Michael did not turn around. "I'm getting there." He walked away. Albert brought the bag inside. Grace looked at the contents. She did not say anything. She just started cooking. August. The developer sent another letter. The offer was reduced to $3 million. The deadline was September 1. Albert threw it away. The children did not call. September. A letter arrived from Sarah. It was short. "Dad, I'm sorry for everything. I'm seeing a therapist. I'm trying to understand why I did what I did. I love you. Sarah." Albert placed the letter in the wooden box. October. The anniversary. A Tuesday in October. Albert woke up early. He could feel the change in the air. The first frost was coming. The leaves were turning. He sat at the table. He opened the wooden box. The stamp, the notebook, the letters, the confessions. He looked at them all. He said. Grace looked up from the stove. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." She turned off the stove. She sat down across from him. "What do you need?" "Paper, ink." Grace went to the bedroom. She returned with a sheet of white paper and a bottle of black ink. Albert opened the ink bottle. He dipped the stamp. He pressed it onto a scrap of paper to test it. The impression was perfect. He took the white paper. He set it on the table. "What will you write?" Grace asked. Albert picked up the pen. He thought for a long time. Then he wrote, "To my children, I forgive you. But forgiveness is not the same as forgetting. I have kept a record of everything. Your mother has kept a record of everything. We have the truth, and the truth will protect us. I am not signing the contract. I will never sign the contract. The house will pass to you when we die and not a day before. But I want you to know, I still love you, and I am waiting." Lad, he signed his name. He picked up the stamp. He pressed it onto the paper. Albert Kowalski. The ink was perfect. The impression was clean. He held the paper up. The light caught the stamp, the signature, the words. "There," he said. "It's done." Grace took the paper. She read it. She placed it in the wooden box. "What now?" she asked. Albert looked around the basement. He looked at the leaking ceiling, the cracked walls, the single fluorescent bulb. "Now we wait," he said. November. The cold returned. The basement grew damp. The furnace struggled. Albert and Grace huddled under blankets, watching the gray sky through the frosted windows. The children did not call. December. A card arrived. It was from all 5 children. It said, "We love you. We're sorry. We're trying." There was no return address. Albert placed the card in the wooden box. Christmas came. Albert and Grace did not celebrate. They ate soup. They went to bed early. They listened to the wind. January. The basement froze. The pipes burst. Albert spent a day trying to fix them. He could not. He called a plumber. The bill was $800. He paid it. February. A letter arrived from Eleanor Chen. She had left the development company. She was starting her own business. She included a note. "Mr. Kowalski, I still think about you. I still think about what your children did. I hope you are okay. I am enclosing my phone number. If you ever need anything, please call." Eleanor. Albert placed the letter in the wooden box. March. The children came back, all 5 of them. They came on a Sunday afternoon when the rain was falling and the sky was gray. They came with food. They came with apologies. "Dad," Michael said, "we want to talk." "About?" "About everything." Albert looked at them. They looked tired. They looked older. They looked like people who had been through something. "Come in," he said. They crowded into the basement. They sat on the floor. They looked at the damp walls, the leaking ceiling, the single fluorescent bulb. "Dad," Michael said, "this is home." Albert finished. "For now." Michael nodded. He looked at his siblings. They looked at each other. "We want to help," Sarah said. "We want to fix the basement. We want to pay for repairs." "Why?" "Because we owe you." Albert looked at Grace. She nodded. "The basement doesn't need fixing," Albert said. "It needs something else." "What?" "The truth." Michael looked down. "We already told you the truth. You told me pieces. You told me what you wanted me to know. What else is there?" Albert opened the wooden box. He took out the notebook. He took out the letters. He took out the confessions. "There's this," he said. He opened the notebook. He began to read. October 12, 2021, Michael calls. He says, "Dad, I have exciting news. A developer is interested in the property. He does not mention the money. He does not mention the bonus." He turned the page. November 3, 2021. Sarah visits. She says, "Mom, you don't need such a big house anymore. She does not mention her second mortgage. Another page, December 15, 2021. David sends a text message. He says, we need to talk about the future. He does not mention his failed business. Page after page. Phone call after phone call. Visit after visit. Albert read for an hour. He read every entry, every detail, every lie. When he finished, the basement was silent. That's 2 years, Albert said. 2 years of evidence. 2 years of your words. Michael sat with his head in his hands. Sarah was crying. David stared at the floor. We're sorry, Michael whispered. Sorry is not enough. What do you want from us? Albert closed the notebook. He placed it back in the box. I want you to remember, he said. I want you to remember what you did. I want you to remember why you did it. And I want you to live with that memory. He stood up. Now get out. Dad, get out. They left. April. The rain fell. Basement flooded. Albert and Grace moved their belongings to higher ground. They slept on the kitchen counter. They did not complain. May. The developer sent a final letter. The offer was $2 million. The deadline was June 1. Albert threw it away. June. The children did not come. July. A letter arrived from Paul. It was short. Dad, I found a new job. I'm paying off my debts. I'm trying to be a better person. Miss you, Paul. Albert placed the letter in the wooden box. August. The heat came. The basement was unbearable. Albert and Grace spent the days in the backyard, sitting on lawn chairs, watching the sky. We can't stay here much longer, Grace said. I know. What do we do? Albert looked at the house, the real house, the one upstairs. The one with the creaky floors and the sticking window in the backyard where the dog was buried. We stay, he said, until we can't. September. A knock came at the door. It was not the children. It was a woman Albert did not recognize. She was young, maybe 25, with kind eyes and a clipboard. Mr. Kowalski, I'm from the city. I'm here to inspect the property. On whose authority? The developer filed a complaint. They say the property is unsafe. Albert stepped aside. The woman walked through the basement. She looked at the leaks, the cracks, the broken furnace. I'm sorry, Mr. Kowalski, she said. I have to condemn it. The notice came 3 days later. The basement was uninhabitable. The house was unsafe. Albert and Grace had 30 days to vacate. Albert read the notice. He set it down. 30 days, he said. Grace nodded. Where do we go? I don't know. They sat in silence. The wooden box sat on the table between them. The stamp. The notebook. The confessions. 2 years, Albert said. 2 years, 4 months, 11 days, Grace said. And this is how it ends. Maybe. Albert looked at the box. He thought about everything. The calls. The visits. The threats. The promises. The lies. What do we do? He asked. Grace picked up the stamp. She turned it over in her hands. The faded ink. The old metal. We fight, she said. 6. The city office was gray. Gray walls, gray carpet, gray faces behind gray desks. Albert sat on a plastic chair, Grace beside him, the wooden box on her lap. Mr. Kowalski, a young man in a suit, clean-shaven, nervous. I'm from the developer's legal team. We'd like to discuss a settlement. Albert did not stand. I'm not here for a settlement. Then why are you here? I'm here to tell the truth. The young man shifted his weight. The truth is, your property has been condemned. There's nothing. The truth, Albert said, is that my children lied to me. They stole from me. They manipulated me into believing I was losing my mind. And now they want my house. The young man's face went still. I don't know anything about that. I know you don't. But I'm going to tell you anyway. Albert opened the box. He pulled out the notebook. He began to read. He read about the first call, the second, the third. He read about the letters, the threats, the fake demand from a lawyer who didn't exist. He read about the second mortgage, the failed business, the text messages David sent while pretending to care. The young man listened. His face changed, first confusion, then disbelief, then something else, something like shame. How long have you known about this? He asked. I've known for 6 months. And you didn't go to the police? The police don't care about old men with bad memories. They care about crimes. And this, Albert tapped the notebook. This is not a crime. It's something worse. What's worse than a crime? Betrayal. The young man was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I'm going to make a phone call. He left. Albert and Grace sat in the gray room. The clock on the wall ticked. The fluorescent lights hummed. What happens now? Grace asked. I don't know. The young man returned. He was not alone. An older woman followed him. She had gray hair and sharp eyes and a badge on her belt. Mr. Kowalski, my name is Detective Reyes. I've been working on a case involving fraudulent property claims. Your son David's name came up. Albert felt something cold settle in his chest. What kind of case? Investment fraud. He's been running a scheme. Promising returns, taking money, disappearing. We've been tracking him for 8 months. 8 months? We were about to make an arrest. But we didn't have enough evidence. Not until now. Detective Reyes looked at the notebook. May I? Albert handed it to her. She read for 10 minutes. Her eyes moved slowly. Her face revealed nothing. When she finished, she looked at Albert. This is everything. It's the truth. It's more than the truth. It's proof. She closed the notebook. Mr. Kowalski, I'm going to need you to come with me. We have a lot to talk about. The station was loud. Fluorescent lights, muttering voices. The smell of coffee and stale air. Albert sat in a small room, a table, 2 chairs, a mirror on the wall. Detective Reyes sat across from him. Your son Michael is also involved, I know. He's been helping David, managing the paperwork. Handling the accounts. Albert nodded. Your daughter Sarah, she knew. She didn't participate, but she knew. She told me. She told you? She came to the house. She confessed. Detective Reyes leaned back. That's unusual. Most families don't confess. Most families aren't dying. She looked at him, a long, steady look. What do you want, Mr. Kowalski? I want the truth to come out. It will. I want my house back. That might take time. I have time. She stood up. I'll start the paperwork. The developer will have to withdraw the complaint. The city will reverse the condemnation. It won't be immediate, but it will happen. Thank you. She paused at the door. One more thing. Your daughter wants to see you. Albert looked at his hands. Tell her I'm not ready. She said you'd say that. She said to tell you she understands. Albert didn't answer. The door closed. The arrest came 2 weeks later. David was taken from his office, handcuffed in front of his employees, led past the cubicles, past the coffee machine, past the framed photos of his children. Michael was arrested the same day. At his home, his wife watched. His children cried. Sarah was not arrested. She had confessed. She had cooperated. She was given immunity in exchange for testimony. The trial lasted 3 months. Albert attended every session. He sat in the front row. He watched his sons enter the courtroom in orange jumpsuits. He watched them plead not guilty. He watched the evidence pile up. The notebook was entered into evidence. The notes were read aloud. The phone calls were played for the jury. The letters were displayed on a screen. David's lawyer tried to argue that Albert had dementia, that he was confused, that the notebook was the product of a failing mind. Then the medical records were presented. Dr. Terlin took the stand. Mr. Kowalski's memory is intact, she said. His cognitive function is within normal range. He does not have dementia. He does not have Alzheimer's. He has a condition called mild cognitive impairment, which affects short-term recall but does not affect long-term memory or logical reasoning. So he knew what he was doing when he recorded those conversations. He knew exactly what he was doing. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. David was found guilty of fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, and elder abuse. Michael was found guilty of conspiracy and elder abuse. They were sentenced to 5 years and 3 years, respectively. Sarah was released with time served. The day of the sentencing, Albert sat in the empty courtroom, Grace beside him, the wooden box on the table. The judge had left. The lawyers had left. The journalists had left. Only Albert and Grace remained. What now? Grace asked. Now we go home. The house is still condemned. Then we'll fix it. She looked at him. How? With the money from the sale. What sale? Albert pulled out a piece of paper. It was a letter from the developer, a new offer, $3 million. I called them, he said. I told them I'd sell. On one condition. What condition? The house stays. The basement gets fixed. The backyard stays the same. They can build around it, but they can't touch it. Why would they agree to that? Because they want the land. And I'm the only holdout. Grace stared at him. When did you do this? 2 weeks ago. You didn't tell me. I wanted it to be a surprise. She laughed. A small, broken laugh. You're a stubborn old man. I know. And I'm a stubborn old woman. I know. What are we going to do with the money? First, we fix the roof. And then we travel. Where? Anywhere. Everywhere. We'll pick a place on a map and we'll go. And the children? Albert was quiet. The children made their choices, he said. Now they have to live with them. Act 7, the house was fixed. It took 6 months. The basement was sealed. The roof was replaced. The walls were painted. The floors were sanded. Albert and Grace moved back in on a Tuesday. The first thing Albert did was walk to the backyard. The dog was still buried there. The grass had grown over the grave. He stood there for a long time. Goodbye, old friend, he said. The second thing he did was open the wooden box. The stamp was still there. The letters. The confessions. He took out the stamp. He held it in his hands. 2 years, he said. 2 years, 4 months, 11 days, Grace said. And this is how it ends. Maybe. He put the stamp back. He closed the box. What do we do now? Grace asked. Now we live. The first month was quiet. They fixed the sticking window. They oiled the creaky floor. They planted new flowers in the backyard. The second month was quieter. They received a letter from the developer. The construction was starting. The house would be surrounded by new buildings. But the house itself would remain. Albert read the letter. He set it down. They're going to build a parking lot next door. That's fine. It's going to be loud. We'll get used to it. And the view? We'll close the curtains. He laughed. You never give up, do you? Never. The third month, Sarah came to visit. She stood at the front door. She looked older, tired. Her eyes were red. Dad, Sarah, can I come in? He stepped aside. She walked into the living room. She looked at the paintings on the wall, the furniture, the bookshelf. It looks the same. It is the same. I'm sorry. I know. She sat down on the couch. I've been seeing a therapist. I've been trying to understand why I did what I did. And what did you learn? That I was scared. That I didn't want to lose you. That I thought if I went along with them, I could keep you close. But you lost me anyway. Yes. Albert sat down across from her. Sarah, I'm not angry at you. You're not? No. I'm disappointed. But I'm not angry. Why not? 'Cause anger is a poison. And I don't have the time to waste on poison. She started to cry. I don't deserve your forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't about deserving. It's about letting go. I don't know how to let go. Neither do I. But I'm learning. She stayed for 2 hours. They talked about small things. The garden. The weather. The new roof. When she left, she hugged him. Tight. Thank you, she said. For what? For not giving up on me. I never did. She left. Albert closed the door. Grace came up behind him. How was it? Hard? But good? But good. The fourth month, a letter arrived. It was from David. Prison letterhead, sloppy handwriting. Albert opened it. Dad, I know you won't read this, but I'm writing it anyway. I'm sorry. Not for getting caught. I'm sorry for what I did. For lying to you. For manipulating you. For making you feel like you were losing your mind. I was scared. I was angry. I was stupid. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that I'm trying to change. I'm going to therapy. I'm reading books. I'm trying to understand why I became the person I became. I don't have an answer yet. Maybe I never will, but I'm trying. That has to count for something. David Albert read the letter twice. Then he placed it in the wooden box. The fifth month, a text message arrived. It was from Michael. Dad, I'm out. Probation, I'm living with a friend. I got a job at a warehouse. I'm sorry. I know that's not enough, but I'm sorry. Albert did not reply. The sixth month, they traveled. They went to the mountains. They stayed in a small cabin. They watched the sunrise. They watched the sunset. They ate dinner by the fire. 2 years, Grace said. 2 years, 10 months, and 3 days, Albert said. And this is how it ends. Maybe. They sat in silence. Are you happy? She asked. Yes. Really? Really? She leaned against him. I'm happy too. The seventh month they came home. The construction was almost finished. The parking lot was paved. The new buildings were tall. The house looked small, but it was still theirs. Albert walked through the rooms. He touched the walls. He ran his hand along the window frame. It's still here, he said. It's still here, Grace said. They went to the backyard. The grass was green. The flowers were blooming. Do you think the dog can see us? Grace, I think so. From wherever he is. From wherever he is. She smiled. You're a sentimental old man. I know. I love you. I love you too. The eighth month, a package arrived. It was from Sarah. No return address. Just a small box. Albert opened it. Inside was a photograph. It was old, faded, yellowed. A young couple, standing in front of a small house, smiling, Albert and Grace, the day they bought the house. Underneath the photograph, a note. I found this in Mom's things. I thought you should have it. I love you. Sarah. Albert held the photograph. He looked at the young man, the young woman, the small house. Look at us, he said. Look at us, Grace said. We were so young. We were so stupid. Happy stupid. Yes, happy stupid. He put the photograph in the wooden box. The 9th month was quiet. The 10th month was quieter. The 11th month, Albert received a letter from the developer. The construction was complete. The house was now surrounded by a parking lot and a strip mall. Albert read the letter. He set it down. They want to know if we're selling. Are we? No, good. The 12th month, Grace got sick. It started with a cough, then a fever, then a hospital visit. The doctors said it was pneumonia. They said she needed rest. They said she would recover, but Albert knew. He sat by her bed. He held her hand. Don't leave me, he said. I'm not going anywhere. Promise, promise. She recovered, but something had changed. Albert could see it in her eyes. The light was dimmer. The strength was weaker. He did not say anything. He just held her hand. The 13th month, they sat in the backyard. The sun was setting. The sky was flowers were blooming. 2 years, Albert said. 3 years, 1 month, and 4 days, Grace said. And this is how it ends, maybe. They sat in silence. Are you ready? She asked. For what? For whatever comes next, he thought about it. Not yet. Good, neither am I. They watched the sunset. The wooden box sat on the table between them. The stamp, the notebook, the letters, the confessions, and the photograph. Should we burn it? Grace asked. Burn what? Everything. Albert thought about it. No, why not? Because it's part of us. The good and the bad, the lies and the truth. It's all part of the story. And what's the story? He picked up the photograph. The story is that we survived. That's not much of a story. It's the only one we have, she smiled. You're a stubborn old man. I know. And I'm a stubborn old woman. I know. What are we going to do now? He looked at the sunset. Now we wait. For what? For tomorrow. They sat together. The sun went down. The stars came out. The wooden box remained. And in the quiet of the night, Albert thought he heard a sound. A faint bark from somewhere far away. He smiled. And he waited.